Okay. So this video will be me trying to talk through and explain an epiphany I've kind of had just now. However, it's like 11:30 p.m. It's May 19th, 2024. But I couldn't really sleep, and my thoughts were racing and shit, and I had like a bad daydream, a bad fantasy, I guess. And I guess it'd be best to get straight to the point. So I don't know how to like set up to explain this shit, but like I was thinking about anger/hatred, relationships and forgiveness, and I was just exploring a scenario in my head. And I wish that I can easily remember the exact thought process I had, but so I guess the basics would be like something happened. This is the scenario / bad fantasy thing, but like basically the scenario is something bad happens between me and another person, and I try to continue to be friendly with them, but they don't reciprocate it. Like from me trying to be friendly and stuff, they react with lashing out, more or less, and anger. And something that I've heard about recently from a video is that anger as an emotion like evolved with us or whatever. Like we still have anger because it's a useful emotion for us, and basically any animal. And the purpose of anger is a response to protect us from pain. And the best example that we all go through that was said in the video was, stubbing our toes. Stub our toes, we get angry, so we kick the thing to show it who's boss, and then we hurt our toe because we kicked the thing, and then we're more angry. And I know this a lot because I'm a clumsy person. So I run into things like all the time basically, and I get the same reaction at least half the time. And it's because, ow, like, how dare you get in my way and cause me pain, so I'm going to just cause you pain back. And even though, you know, it's an inanimate object like fucking, uh, like doorway or, like stubbing your toe on like the corner of a stand, or accidentally hitting your elbow into the side of a doorway. And I guess that makes sense for like people dealing with other people too. Where one thing that like as animals that works is that more or less oppressing people by using anger and violence, cause like and threats and shit, cause like the whole thing of like protecting yourself from pain is like, if you do this to me, I'll do something back. And I don't know, I'm describing this poorly for now. But to go back to the scenario, like basically the other person had a lot of anger in them, and it's not, and from there lashing out at me and like causing me some mild pain. In this scenario, I kind of overlook it. Like, I don't get angry from that. And so instead, I like focus on, oh, they have anger in them, and anger comes from pain. So I chalk it up as they still have pain and stuff. And then a little while later, I think about like the relationship part. Like, I don't exactly know how to like connect or segue into it that well, but like to have like a friendship, you know? Or even just trust. The thing about trust is that it makes people vulnerable. When we believe someone is Oh, sorry. I don't know what's happening in my throat. Um, when we say someone is trustworthy, that usually means that we can be vulnerable with them without being hurt or taken advantage of, more or less. And but when we trust people, we're vulnerable to being betrayed, to being hurt. That vulnerability is inherent in trust. Being able to trust people and not be hurt by them is a great feeling. Like, it's a feeling of safety, you know? But of course, it has. Nobody wants to be vulnerable. So it's a kind of, I want to say balancing act, but it's not really an act. It's more like a balance management or some shit. I'm gonna assume you kind of know what I'm getting at. So if you have a friendship and you're like, you trust them and you are okay being vulnerable with them, but then they do something cause you pain, and so you get angry at them. And so hatred is kind of like a bigger anger, right? The pain can also be like fear of being hurt, you know? And I guess that's where it's like being vulnerable is. Trust is being okay being vulnerable. When you're not okay being vulnerable, then obviously that's not trust. It's probably like distrust. Um, but yeah, so we can use anger and violence and stuff and like the power struggle. Because if we have more power, then we're less vulnerable to whatever would, um, pain us, give us pain and shit. And so when it comes to relationships, there are people where they've caused each other pain and they get angry at each other. And sometimes people don't feel okay being vulnerable with that person anymore. And so it's like, in regards to the scenario, I kind of thought I kind of like they're like through third party, they they were talking to me as like a messenger boy or owl. But I get told that the person doesn't want me. I'm told to like stop trying to treat him or them trying to treat them with friendliness anymore. And like the weirdo I am, because I don't believe there's any way they can like know what the hell I'm talking about, but my response is, would that protect them? Would me not trying to be friendly with them anymore protect them? And of course they wouldn't fucking know what I'm talking about, but when I think a little, like, they're angry at me, so they're trying to protect themselves from pain. And so my thinking during that was, would me not try and be friendly with them protect them from pain? And to go a little further, it's like the whole trust thing. Like, maybe the friendship or whatever, um, if they don't trust me anymore, where they feel like if they were to be vulnerable with me, it would just bring them more pain, then then perhaps me being friendly with them I'm trying to figure out the best way to to say this without it being confusing. So I'm sorry. But like if being friends or if being friends uh makes them feel vulnerable, and they're not okay being vulnerable because they believe it's going to lead to more pain, then whenever I act friendly towards them, they it's like they're trying, like, to protect themselves, you know? Like, to protect themselves, they don't want to even see a possibility of us being friendly towards each other again, of us being vulnerable to each other again, if that makes sense. Though it's kind of sad. So some people would rather not be friends with our people anymore because they don't feel okay being vulnerable with them, which kind of makes sense. Like, even though in this scenario it's a bit more complicated for me, because to me, I'm not trying to cause them pain. I'm trying to treat them better because that's how I want to be towards people. And the confusing part to me would be me wanting to treat other people better is somehow causing them pain. Or at least they see it as painful and then get angry in retaliation from it to protect themselves from pain. And then we have forgiveness, because not within the same scenario, but one of them that I was being stressed out over, the idea of forgiveness came up, which in the scenario I freaked out about because, like, in this scenario, they did something bad to me and they asked me for forgiveness, and I kind of blew up on them because why would they seek forgiveness from a piece of shit like me? You know, because that's how people are, is that they hate people, and when they hate people, they justify doing cruel things to them. Nobody asks to be forgiven. Like person A hates person B. Person A does something terrible to person B. And person B is in pain and shit. Why would person A ask person B for forgiveness? We usually are like, fuck those guys, they deserve it, you know? To the people we hate. And in the scenarios, it was more like they don't hate me. But from my perspective, why the fuck shouldn't they? And that was why that's why I fucking lashed out at them, or I couldn't help but lash out at them in that scenario. But also, like, I just in general have trouble figuring out what the hell forgiveness actually is. But it is kind of relational. Like, some people say that, like, forgiveness is all about who's a good and bad person, but, like, I'm always going to be a fucking monster. I'm always going to be a bad person, so that just screws with my mind. But, like, if it's relational, like, regardless of if I'm a good person or a bad person, not everyone's going to want to be around me or have, like, hmm. Anyway, so I feel like forgiveness comes into this too, because, like, relations, and I don't know. Actually, I don't fucking know, because, like, forgiveness is supposed to be letting go of, like, pain, but you can apparently forgive someone and not want to be their friend anymore, you know? But usually the reason why we don't forgive someone is because, you know, either anger or hatred, right? Because they've hurt us so bad that we definitely don't want to feel vulnerable with them anymore. We're not gonna trust them anymore, right? Hmm. In this scenario, though, I don't know. I can I know that my anger and lashing out comes from wanting to protect myself from pain, and, well, it comes from pain to begin with. It's a response to pain, and in that scenario, I basically protected someone that they hate from their physical assault. It, like, I don't know if they would actually physically assault anyone. It's just that's how that's how the scenario happened, you know? I just explored that possibility. And so instead I was the one that got physically assaulted. And so I guess for now I'm wanting to explore that pain that's inside of me, because it's more or less a pain that I have towards maybe everyone. That, like, in that person's life, they have people that they more or less hate, people that are pieces of shit to them, basically. And my argument is, what the hell makes them think that I'm not a piece of shit? They ask for forgiveness now, but why? You know? Like, just because I'm friendly to them does not mean that I'm not a piece of shit. It's just they don't know how much of a piece of shit I am, because otherwise they'd be saying that, you know, I deserved it. They'd be, I guess, kicking me while I'm down, because that's how people are, right? For the most part, it's in our nature. But and I guess now that I'm saying it out loud with this context, it's a little bit obvious that what I literally just said describes, you know, my pain that I'm trying to protect myself from. Because I feel like, you know, that, like, all it's going to take is for them to figure out that I'm a piece of shit, just like the people that, you know, they believe that, like, the people they treat cruelly, all it would take is for them to see me as a piece of shit, and then, like, yeah, like, I don't know if it'd be pointless would be the right thing to say, but but I'd still feel vulnerable. I wouldn't be able to. I don't trust many people. I don't trust them or many other people because they justify treating they justify being cruel to pieces of shit, basically. And and I feel like it's a normal thing. It's a darkness that's in our human nature. And I guess in that scenario, it would basically be the same things, just the shoes on the other foot. I think that's the right saying. Where where I don't where her or him they if they don't treat me like a piece of shit, I feel scared and vulnerable. And then I get angry and lash out because they should treat me like a piece of shit. Because that's what I am. And that's how they would treat people who are a piece of shit, with cruelty. Yeah. So I'm the same. I'm the fucking same. I would. I. It's. I don't know how telling it is how in one scenario I'm lashing out in anger, trying to protect myself from pain, from someone trying to asking for forgiveness because they believe they want to be friends, because they want to be friendly and be good to each other again. But I couldn't trust them treating me well. But in the other scenario where I was the one treating them well, I was okay with it. I was okay with them treating me like shit, because for some strange reason, I didn't feel vulnerable. I didn't feel vulnerable at, like, what? I didn't feel vulnerable when they were treating me like shit, but fucking when they're treating me like they want to treat me like I'm a good person, I'm like, no, I'm not a good person. That just... because it kind of fucks me up a little bit. Well, I don't understand it well enough to describe its intensity, but... And apparently I'm hungry, but I should be going to bed for work anyway. It's 12:20 in the morning. I want to still treat them well, because that's how I want to be. But when they want to treat me well, I get defensive or offensive, lashing out, because I don't trust that. I don't trust that from them. The people who justify being cruel to the people they hate and feel deserve it. And that's how I am. Oh boy. I want to say I'm glad I sat down with myself to talk about this, because of this epiphany, and like understanding. I believe I've came to logical conclusions. Like I feel like I understand how people work better, like I understand better how people work with this and how I am myself. But perhaps it's going to take some time to really sink in to understand it fully. It's probably going to take some time to get through my feelings about this epiphany, and it'd probably help if I wasn't tired and hungry, but it is what it is. I didn't want to lose this realization, so here I am. I might have to listen back on this later. So, yeah. I'm going to, man, I don't know. My stomach is really, should be going to bed, but my stomach is really just being annoying to me, so I might just feed it first. But I'll try to take care of myself a bit. And I'll see you guys later. Take care of yourselves.